was a really lucky drama student. I trained at the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School, and I came out straight into the theatre, did some theatre work, and because I've been blessed with a face that the camera likes, I then started I played one of the leads in a television for ITV, and then I did The Woman in White for the BBC, Diana for the BBC, Marina in Local Hero. It was my first big feature film. And I also had a lead role in a short film called A Shocking Accident, which was an hilarious situation because I saw the rough cut and I said to my agent, never ever let anyone see this is so bad. And it was nominated and won an Oscar for the best short. So what do I know about rough cuts? You know, I learned quite a lot from that situation. So I had also done A Woman of Substance, Hold the Dream, my first Hollywood picture, which was a picture called Nathan Hayes with Tommy Lee Jones and Michael O'Keefe for Paramount. Oh, loads of stuff and more theatre and all sorts of things. And a few Euro puddings, I like to call them Euro puddings, sort of things made with Italian and French money, co-productions, all sorts of interesting stuff. And then the phone call came to my agent, who was Dennis Selinger, the Silver Fox we called him, ICM. Wonderful man, sadly not with us anymore. And they said, oh, we're doing this horror film. Universal are doing it, William Friedkin directing. Are you interested? Well, I thought, why not? I did have to just spend 24 hours deciding whether I wanted to do a horror film because I'm a sensitive soul and I don't like going to horror films. I find them too frightening. And I thought, do I want to be part of that energy? And I thought, well, it's not about real people and it's quite fantastic. So, and it's Billy Friedkin. Yeah, all right, why not? I'll go and meet them.
Do you have a steady boyfriend?
Nobody I've met so far quite makes the grade.
These references?
Oh, yes.
Is there anything you'd like to ask us, Miss...
Grandier. Yes, how old is your son?
He'll be 2 weeks this Thursday.
Oh, October's child.
Yeah.
Libra.
And the script was in quite a different incarnation. There was an English screenwriter called Stephen Volk tip-tapping away because it wasn't the final version. In fact, it was incredibly different from the script we actually shot. And I believe that he had a nervous breakdown. I hope I'm not wrong here and not doing him in, but I believe he had a nervous breakdown. And they weren't quite sure which way the script was going, but I thought I was on an adventure. I like Billy, and I thought, yeah, this will be really fun. I'll enjoy doing this.
So how are you gonna get there?
I'm gonna walk.
Oh, don't walk. Let me give you a ride. You realize how far that is?
Yeah, it's okay. I love walking. Anyway, it'll do me good.
Somebody told me it was based on a Dan Greenberg novel. I didn't know that. If I had known it, I might well have read it, but I came in too late for that and obviously didn't ask the right questions. I was just concerned at the time that our screenwriter had pulled off the script and that Billy was taken over and that I needed to know where my character was going and what the shape of the thing was going to be. And then we were shooting, it was all too late.
Did you know that after 4 weeks, the little blood cells change? Yeah. After 4 weeks, they're not baby cells anymore.
It was one of those where everything was set, we had the cast, we had to start, because that's what happens. And we all just put our faith in Billy, who just took off with this kind of strange Noah's Ark of a picture, and it sort of metamorphosed into something completely different. I seem to remember that we were getting pink and blue and green and yellow pages all the way through the shoot, and the onus was on Billy. And he's not a man who shows the pressure easily. You know, and indeed directors shouldn't. They're the boss and they have to look as if they know what they're doing. Even if they're pedaling very fast under the water, they have to appear as if they're gliding. So if he was under pressure, I have no idea. I couldn't see it. I would imagine he would have been under a certain amount of pressure because when pages are changing and you're in the middle of shooting, as is my memory, you know, the set's got to be built and designed, streets have got to be booked, houses have got to be booked, actors have got to be taken on. You know, there's a load of people saying, please, Mr. Friedkin, when are we going to know what we're doing? And, you know, it's a huge responsibility with a multi-million-dollar picture to be rewriting the story and hoping that it works and that it is cohesive and that your studio bosses are going to love it. But it's Billy Friedkin. The man's a genius. He may have made some films that haven't worked, and retrospectively, in its own way, this is one. It wasn't the big hit that everyone hoped it would be. But the man has some great, great films behind him, and we just all had to put our trust in him. I loved Billy. He's completely mad, but he has a reputation for that, so I can say that. So if you're watching Billy, I'm sorry, but you know, I do love you. He liked to shoot with long lenses, so the actor wasn't so intruded upon by the camera. And he loved the bits where he just let the camera roll after cut and just see what you did. And there was often some really nice little things that happened. He liked spontaneity, he liked freshness, he didn't want acting, you know. He would use tricks to get performances out of people. Sometimes he scared people to do it. Sometimes I wasn't there, but I heard, you know, things to get fear out of people. But, you know, a lot of directors do that. I got on with him very, very well. I saw his mischief and I saw that he loved what he was doing. And I seemed to be pleasing him with what I was doing, and it was a good working relationship. But what happened was when Stephen went off the picture, Billy took over. And these pink pages were flying at us. And I remember going round to his house in the Hollywood Hills and him saying, I'm reading up about druids, and it's really interesting about these ceremonies, these rituals they go through. And then suddenly this idea of this kind of weird tree came about, and suddenly my character was not just a nanny, but she was a druid character who turned into a part of the tree and had to feed the tree, and things were evolving all the time. I have to admit, I did make a phone call to my friend at Universal and said, I'm not going to mention any names, but I did say, wouldn't it be better if we played this as a real nanny who takes children? And the general consensus was then that it would be too frightening for the core audience, who were young people of a certain age with very young children, and they'd find it too frightening, therefore they'd keep away, and that it was better for it to be a fantasy picture. You know, a horror with completely unrealistic things and just an escapist thing. And I thought to myself, well, I think you're wrong, but there you go. I'm not a filmmaker. What do I know? I'm just an actress. And sadly, a few years later, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle came out and was a great big hit. And I did ring my friend and I said, told you so. But hey, listen, we made a picture that's become rather a cult, really. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. And I had fun making it. Set designers were having to jump to all the time because this huge tree had to be built and it had to be designed, it had to be made work, and wolves had to be hired, and I had to have special effects makeup, and that was a whole other story. Gosh, that was funny. I had to be up on the week that we did the special effects, because there's a point where she sort of becomes covered in bark. And I had a wonderful time. I called myself Barkpuss, and I created a voice. I don't think I can do it now. It's a sort of mixture of E.T. on acid, sort of, I am Barkpuss. And I'd go around in my really revolting bark costume, creeping up on people and going, Barkpuss. It was great fun. I enjoyed it. Which you had to do because you couldn't eat anything because you couldn't move your mouth properly. So you had to eat your lunch out of a straw, and you had to be up at 3:30 in the morning for about 5 hours of special effect makeup. And after everyone had gone home at wrap, you know, me and my team were there stripping the wretched stuff off. And when I wasn't wearing latex, I sometimes was covered in body paint. Oh, it was great fun. I had a blast. I had a funny experience. I was sitting in the chair having a test for my head, because you had to have a full skull made so that they could create all the stuff to put over your head. And they cover you in the same stuff they use for plaster, when you break a bone, and you get 2 straws for your nose. And I'm sitting in that chair, and it's about all to be put on, and there's an earthquake, and it's my first earthquake. And I'm like, please don't put it on at the moment, I've got to get out of here. And they said, relax, it's not the big one. So it was full of drama, my experience of The Guardian. And the picture went from one extreme, this sort of po-faced English woman, to this strange bark woman, through to a woman wearing strange makeup in not actually naked, but covered in body paint in the forest with wolves and things. And, you know, all the time I did think that I was doing a picture, because it was universal, because it was Billy Friedkin, that had a chance.
Name me one person who can confirm who you are, besides Molly Sheridan.
I heard about the job through a very dear, close friend of mine.
Who?
She persuaded me to come along. She got my resume to you.
Give me her name.
Everybody was incredibly excited about this picture. It was Billy's big comeback. It was a sort of mini comeback for me, because I hadn't done a picture for a couple of years. And my phone didn't stop ringing. You know, agents, managers all wanted to have a bit of me, which was terribly exciting and sort of bewildering as well, because it was like being pecked at all over the place. And you sort of knew, even then, even though I was quite young, that if it didn't work, the phone would stop. And the first screening I saw was at Universal in their frightfully posh cinema, and there was this huge buzz of excitement, and the lights went down and the film started. And within half an hour, I'd say that the temperature had gone from 120 down to about 40. And there was a sort of feeling in the room that it wasn't the picture that everyone had hoped it was going to be. I don't want to put anyone off from watching it, because it's good fun, but it certainly wasn't a William Friedkin classic.
Well, I'm not staying in this house a minute longer.
Good, because I don't want you there. Diana, Julie, whatever the hell your name is, you're fired.
I don't believe in regrets. So to say that I was sad that The Hand That Rocks the Cradle wasn't the film we made wouldn't be completely true. Of course, I would like to have been listened to and to have made a really interesting film about a nanny who does, an evil nanny who takes real babies. But I think in life things happen. And of course you'd want to make a better film. But I had an adventure, and I got paid some nice money, and I learnt basically through my own mistakes and other people's, and I don't think you can ever change that. And who knows, maybe if it had been a huge hit, I might have taken a different path and I wouldn't be happy now. So I simply don't believe in regrets. You just do it, it happens, you make mistakes, you enjoy yourself as best you can, and you move on.